Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Michael Firth here, one of the founding Field Advisory Board members and Crowns with Neumi, and it's my pleasure to be the MC today for this training module, which is part of the Professional Reseller Program, or what's commonly known as the PRP program within Neumi, which is very, very unique. Now, this is module number 1. We will have 3 modules in a row for you to study, which we're going to cover off preparation, implementation, and then follow up. And we're going to interview some of the experts in this space. So I just want to quickly highlight exactly who you're going to be hearing from. We're going to be hearing from Rhonda and Sherry. Where's Rhonda? There she is. And we're also going to be hearing from Sherry, as I showed. We're going to be hearing from Jean Grosso and AJ Davis to give us a medical perspective as well. And of course, we will be hearing from Ryan Scott as well. So with that in mind, to kick off today, guys, the first part of this, we want to make sure you have a pen and paper. You've probably heard this before. The bluntest pencil remembers more than the sharpest mind. The PRP program is something you really need to understand, and you're going to be hearing from all of these experts. Now, I want to say before we kick off too, these guys have donated their time selflessly for the greater good of Neumi right across the world, whether you're in their team or not, to give you what they do for best practice for this particular model. Having said that, what we don't want you to do afterwards is reach out to those cross-line individuals for information. We're going to give you so much in here that you could watch it 10 times. Then we're going to encourage you to go back to your upline for all of your support and so forth. So as we kick off this event, firstly, the first module is really about understanding the program, the positioning, the tools, the mindset before you reach out to somebody. So with that in mind, the first person I'm going to bring on is Ryan Scott. And Ryan, I'm going to ask you a whole bundle of questions to position what this is all about. So firstly, tell us what exactly is the PRP program?
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Well, I'm going to give a little bit of a history lesson. Before we started Neumi, we started a company, my father and I, selling what was called Swish 30 and Primaskin. And Steve had a huge background in selling products online, or not online, on TV. And that's what he was an expert in. So we started selling products on TV, and that's where we found out how incredible our products were. You know, after a year of customers purchasing, we had a 74% stick rate of people who continued to purchase after a year. And we started to get results from clinicians, from doctors' offices, from spas all over, and then as well as just your basic average customer. Well, then we launched Neumi and went towards the network marketing model. But Aaron really had an idea to crack the code that no other network marketing company has cracked, and that's giving our distributors the opportunity to actually make those big sales, to make those sales into professional clinics, into spas, into hair salons, into you name it, anything professional, where they might have a stigma against network marketing companies. They might say, my customers won't buy that because they'll think I'm just trying to sign them up, for a network marketing company. And, some doctors stray away from that, whether it's because of, um, the stigma with network marketing, or because there's not enough margins in them for it to make sense for them to just sell direct to their patients. So what we did is we worked it into the comp plan, and we created a separate brand called, our HydroStrap brand, which has the Swish 30, the Prima Skin, and the Prima Hair coming soon. And and uh, and so we took those products and we worked into the comp plan in a way to where we could the distributors could sell it and to clinics and spas and all these professional places, to where those professionals can have the margins that they need to sell directly to their customers. And we cracked the code, and it's pretty exciting.
Absolutely. I've got to tell you, it gives the whole business something unique no one else has. So with that in mind, which countries at the time of this recording does the PRP program relate to?
Currently, we're only in the United States and Canada, but we are open and exploring other options. What we really want to do is just explode it here locally so that we can get a model of how to implement it in other countries, because every country is different. So we're taking a little bit slower than, say, a direct-to-consumer model where you can just open up the doors, and every country has different regulations and different things we need to take in mind. But for now, it's just the United States and Canada.
Beautiful, beautiful. And is the intention to expand the PRP program into more markets around the world as the products become fully registered?
Yes, yes. As products become fully registered, and as we see more and more success with this program here locally, we will definitely look into expanding that into Europe and Latin America and Australasia, all over any place that we can. We would like to make it work in those countries as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. And this training, guys, is perfectly timed because we want to make sure we perfect it in the Canadian and US markets first anyway. So, who's your target market and with what products?
Yeah, I'm gonna let Rhonda and the team kind of elaborate on kind of who goes where because they're the professionals in that. But we really, and I kind of touched on this previously, but we really want to target um, anywhere from small to medium and sometimes even large size practices. Right? Those can be chiropractors, those can be holistic practitioners. They can be dermatologists. They can be gyms. They can be any spas. They can be nail techs. They can be anyone who has a brick and mortar shop that might not be involved in referral marketing or network marketing, but they have a client base who has their trust, right, and who will use products that the doctor or the practitioner will recommend. And it's just such a great fit that to have these products in front of them, and by being able to work out the margins in a way that makes sense for them, it's a win-win for everyone. It's a win for the distributor, it's a win for the practitioner or professional, and it's definitely a win for the customer.
Beautiful. Now, I love this because this is such a unique part of it. But what kind of remuneration is received by members promoting the PRP program, and how does it affect the volume at the line? That's the exciting part from what I've seen.
Yes, and I don't want, I'm not a professional network marketer, right? So I can't say, but if I were to get into network marketing and I had built my organization and I was growing, I would really focus a lot of my time and energy into finding a business, because you see these companies that are B2B companies, right, business to business, and the reason that they're so successful is because businesses will continue to purchase, right. They're not as dependent on if they got a paycheck this week, or some of the things that the economics go that the scales of economy go through to your standard customer. You could find one or two really good clients with this program, and you're getting 25% of their purchase volume, and that's dollar to dollar. So if they're buying, $1,000 a month, you're getting $250 a month every single month, right? Or anytime they purchase, it's just right there in your pocket. So it's I don't want to say high risk, high reward, because what's the risk? There's not really any risk for approaching people and approaching practices, but it certainly is high reward, and it can be a constant reward as businesses tend to stay around for a long time and repeat purchase.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I might add, guys, what excites me the most, because here I am in Australia, and you might think, oh, we don't have the program here. Well, hey, I've got downline right throughout America and Canada, and guess what? They promote it, and that volume flows up the line like normal volume, which is huge. So, is it true that the PRP program is designed to strategically only aim at physical businesses, and why is that?
Yeah, we're primarily aiming towards physical businesses. We require tax ID number because they're buying wholesale. So we don't charge taxes on the product that they purchase, because they're going to turn around and then they're going to sell it to the end customer. So it requires a little more red tape, a little more caution on our end, and we want to protect the space that our distributors are in, which is the online space, the word of mouth, direct to consumer. We want to kind of own that space in Neumi. That's really important to us and to our existing distributors. But we also want to get a chunk of the physical space. We know how amazing it can be for commissions and, like you said, for volume. And so yeah, it is more brick and mortar focused.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, is it true that we don't want the PRP clients advertising their products online in competition with Numi, and why is that?
Yeah, we don't want them going to marketplaces and offloading products, because they get a big discount, right, by signing the agreements that they sign and by purchasing in bulk. So it's something that we have to heavily monitor, because if we were to allow them to just turn around and sell on eBay or Amazon or or anything like that, or promote Google ads and all that, then it could really damage our distributors. So we at Neumi take a special effort to protect that space for our distributors and make sure that they're just selling to their existing client base, because that's what it's designed to do.
Beautiful. You know, I came from the mortgage industry. It was the same. You see channel conflict between the bank branches and or the mortgage brokers, but they worked a way out. We've worked a way out with this, which is fantastic. Now, moving from a corporate perspective into some field people are really, really ripping it up. I want to ask Rhonda a question. Is it true that the PRP program pricing will always be more expensive than Neumi? And why is that? And you just need to make sure you're unmute.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you, Michael. The PRP program is so exciting to be a part of. And now that we're training on it, what we really want to do is, because we are part of another program, in other words, Numi is our mothership. Okay, so we're housed up under Numi, and Numi kind of is the umbrella that we sit up under. So we don't want to directly affect any of our partners in competitive pricing. So it is true. And as you work with the PRP, the Professional Reseller Program, you will understand and gain an understanding that it is slightly higher than our Numi membership pricing and our subscribe and save pricing. So we do have special pricing for the Professional Reseller Program, and it is a suggested retail of 65 US dollars or higher. And then depending on the market of where you are, you have some leeway that you can kind of add on. So if you're in an upscale and you feel like that price point may not be attractive, as long as you don't reduce that price by 65 US dollars, you can add to the price, but you cannot subtract, because we want, again, to protect our mothership and not be in competition with our fellow Numi members.
Beautiful, beautiful. And it really enhances things, really, doesn't it? Normally you see a network marketing product, and if it's online, it's usually cheaper, which just destroys their model. Where in our case, it's the other way around. It's actually a higher price for the retail model. Now, when we move to someone else who's ripping up in the program as well, I also want to bring on Jean Grosso. Now, Jean, I've got a question for you, and that is there a minimum purchase volume through the PRP?
Hi, Michael. Yes, there is. And it starts with both Swish 30 and Prima Skin. You can order a minimum of 12 units or 24, 40, or 80. And the prices are found right in the back office. And so basically the 12 units are $576. And then the 24 units are 1,080. The 40 units of Swish 30 are 1,720. And then the 80 units are 3,040. So you can see, if you divide it out, it comes down to, at 80 units, $38 a bottle. And then if you're reselling it at a minimum of 65 or 75, so forth, you're going to really scale your business. And now the Prima Skin is a little bit less, at 12 bottles at 540, 24 bottles at 1,008, and then 40 bottles at 1,600 and 80 bottles at 2,800. Now, I remember when I first started, I actually bought the $1,000 pack. So it's really easy to buy 25 units or 24 units, even for yourself.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, what I want to do is actually segue to another person who's ripping it up, and that is actually Sherry Werner. So, welcome, Sherry.
Thank you,
Now,
Michael.
now, Sherry, is there a slightly different approach required in each country when promoting the PRP? Because we've got America and Canada, and some would think, oh, it's just exactly the same, but that's not the case, is it?
That is not the case, Michael. As Ryan said earlier, that we do have different models in different countries, and it's really important that you understand, if you're going to market in each one of these, what the rules and regulations are. I am not currently aware of any regulations here in the United States. However, in Canada, they are different, and we want to make sure we understand the difference. So in Canada, there are regulations in place that will absolutely not allow some of the practitioners, the licensed people, to operate in a network marketing company. So we don't want to confuse this model when we're going in for hydrostat. We will not ever bring up Neumi under these circumstances. They are not allowed to do it, and we will be shut down, completely shut down in the PRP program with this particular prospect. So if you've done all this work, your homework, so to speak, and trying to prospect and learn everything you can about this business, we certainly don't want to go in an area that we have not investigated for the rules and regulations. So licensed under the government agencies or the universities or some of the hospitals absolutely will not allow a network marketing company to come through there. So we want to make sure we are focused on hydrostat when we go in these places.
Beautiful. That's important to know. So these are the little things, guys, you've got to take notes of. If you haven't got a pen and paper out, please do. It's going to be so critical. Now, Jeannie, I'm going to get you, we did show this just visually while we were chatting a second ago, but I want to ask the question, are there tools? Where are the tools? Is there a presentation that I can just suddenly use? What's the answer to that one?
Yes, there is a wonderful presentation. That's all you need. It's a PowerPoint presentation. There is a video and there's printouts. There's the white papers, and you can simply go right there to back office tools and resources, and then Neumi Google Drive, and then the new PRP marketing materials. So it's only 3 steps away. I've downloaded them all, and then you can print them out. It's wonderful.
Beautiful, beautiful. So guys, what we're going to do now, we're going to make that's the preparation beforehand. Now we're going to talk about some of the things you need to know. What do you say? All that sort of stuff. So we're going to come in for some questions, and we'll hear from lots of different individuals on this one. So the first question, I suppose, just having a look at this, would be what information would be beneficial before calling on a new account, cold versus warm? And let's maybe start with Sherry.
Yeah, this is so fun, Michael, because you're going to get to study your prospect. What the heck does that mean? So let's say we're talking about a cold market, and let's say in my area, I might type in on a Google search, med spas in my area. We'll just use that as an example. Now, I may get 4 or 5 med spas in the greater Cincinnati area, and I may look at that and say, now, how am I going to prospect this person? What's the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to learn every single thing I can about this particular clinic, this spa. What do they do? What's their favorite procedures? How many different kind of procedures they do? What kind of products they carry? How can I find out this information? I'm going to go to their website if they have one. I'm going to study their website. I'm going to look at everything they have, all the procedures that they're doing, and I'm going to start taking notes on this. All right, and also I'm going to ask them maybe what if I'm get a preference here, what's the favorite procedure they do? What are they known for? Can I put something out there on Facebook? Hey, has anybody ever visited this clinic? You know, what did you like about this clinic? I want to find out everything I can before I go in there. I want to know what they're doing for their clients. What are their clients' needs? How can we service their clients' needs? And, you know, how can I customize my presentation to this particular clinic? I can't customize my presentation if I'm going to a med spa based on chiropractic information. So I want to be really sure that I have covered every aspect before I ever prospect. We call this studying your prospect. So that's number one. That's a cold market. There's so many markets out there, and we're going to try to present to the market we're covering. So let's say we're going chiropractic. I might not necessarily have the same information for a chiropractor that I would a med spa. So again, I'm going to go to their website. I'm going to study everything they do. I'm going to look at their procedures. Now, let's say that one of these clinics is close to me, and I can maybe drop in. I can just drop in and take a look. Maybe I talk to the person at the desk. Maybe I ask the desk person, you know, tell me about your business. What do you do here? Or again, what are some of your favorite things that you do? What do you do the most? You know, what kind of product line are you carrying? This is just gathering information and filling the toolbox with what I'm going to use to prospect in a cold market. If it's a warm market, I already know these people. I already have built a relationship with them. So it's easier for me to approach in a warm market versus a cold market. So those are some of the tools that we gather.
Beautiful. I can see across the top all of the others on the panel just nodding and nodding. So with that in mind, let's get another perspective as well. Anything you would add to that question, Ginny?
Well, I would do exactly that, and I have done that, and thank you, Sherry, for that. The only thing I could think of that I could possibly add is on a warm market, you need to know even more. And that's because someone referred you. So one of my favorite lines is so and so just shared so much and spoke so highly of you and said that you do this, that, and the next thing. And I compliment them on their achievements. That's the only thing I can even think of to add.
Beautiful. That's really valuable, though. That's really personalizes things. Now, you never get a second chance at a good first impression. And I know back in the old network marketing days when I got started, and I won't tell you how long ago that was, you had to wear a red tie and a white suit. That's rubbish. Carry a briefcase. Now, if you did that, they go, here's the Amway guy. So we're not about doing that. But when you're actually approaching someone with a professional reseller program, obviously first impressions are lasting. So, Rhonda, what does professional attire look like?
I love this question. When we're changing gears and going into a business, and particularly one where we've never been seen, it reminds me of when I was growing up and I would see these people come through the front door with a briefcase, and particularly women, they would have on a skirt, heels, closed toe pump, jacket, very covered, very modest, and of course, their makeup was done and everything was just pristine. And it would grab my eye, and I would think, well, that's really a professional person. Well, this person would disappear somewhere behind the door. And now we know that those were trained, what we call sales reps. So we are, in essence, hydrostat sales reps. Okay. We are offering a technology that you're going to hear how we explain this, that possibly the world does not know about. So this is the beauty that we get to do the education. So when I'm looking at, what am I going to do to go into a place? What should I wear? What would be appropriate that, would make me represent my company? Now, obviously, you see I have a hydrostat shirt on, right? And so I'm going to pair this with a pair of black slacks, possibly a jacket. I'm not going to go in with a briefcase with papers falling out. I want to make sure that I've been groomed. I want to make sure that I'm refreshed, that I've had, a great night's sleep, and we can now on our product. But I want to make sure that when they look at me on that very first impression that you're talking about, that I'm looking the part of what I'm about to offer them. I think it's critical to cover ourselves and to be appropriate in that aspect. Now, in our sister company, it's kind of easy to be in a gym, wearing gym clothes, talking gym, but I don't think it would be quite appropriate to come in as a hydrostat representative wearing something less than the way you want your business to be treated. We are after professionals. And as professionals, I believe we should dress that part and really look that part.
Love it. Absolutely love it. So, with that in mind, when you do get there, this question's for Sherry. Is there an advantage in having some sort of, samples and so forth for the person when you first get there? You need to unmute, by the way, Sherry.
Got it. Yes. Thank you, Michael. Absolutely. You must be prepared when you go in with what we have, and that is Swish 30 and Prima. And if you do not have these samples, they are available to you in the back office under shop. And there's two. You get the new white bottle and the black bottle, or in the Canadian market, you're still doing the red and the black bottle. And you definitely need to have the product available when you go in to sample. I'm also supposed to do another question, Michael, and I'm not sure. I think I should follow it up right here at about what does the sampling look like if you're at that stage in the process. So you're going to ask the person if it's okay or if they'd like to try a sample. Now, what's really great about this is that these products are experiential. This is the best part about what we have. And we're always going to start with Prima Skin, and we're going to ask, is it okay if I spray the back of your hand? Most of the people are going to say yes. We can ask them about their spraying their face after we've sprayed their hand. They're more likely to allow you to spray their hand versus their face. I'm going to take a beautiful Prima Skin bottle. I'm going to hold their hand, and I'm simply going to spray. And I'm going to say, now let's let that dry a minute. You're not, I don't need you to wave your hand. You don't need to dry it off. It needs to air dry. You don't need to pat it. We're going to give it just a few minutes and we're going to let that dry. And then I'm going to bring out this big, beautiful bottle that has not been opened. It is a brand new bottle when I get to the clinic. I'm going to open it. They're going to see me open it. I'm going to pour their sample. They're going to see that I've topped the silver lining off of the top of it, that it's fresh. And I'm going to give them instructions about how to take the product. Now, I'm going to tell them to gently rest it under their tongue for 15 seconds and then swish it gently back and forth in their cheek. And I'm going to set a timer because I at least want them to swish for 45 seconds to a minute. And while they're swishing, guess what I get to do? I get to talk about Swish 30. I get to tell them about the benefits of this product, and they're just listening because they're still swishing. They can see the timer, so they know that it's going to go off in a few minutes. And so I'm going to tell them when their time is up that they can gently swallow the product. And then I'm going to go back to their hand because at this time, their hand is dry. And I'm going to say, now, put your hands together. Let's see what they look like because there's a visible difference immediately. And then I'm going to ask them to feel the back of their hand. And that is, you can feel the difference. It's hydrated that quickly. So sampling the product is a must. They must see that it's a very simple process. It's done in a matter of 2 minutes and it's experiential. And I'll tell them later in the day, I'd like for you to feel the back of your hand again because 2 simple pumps is going to allow that hand to stay hydrated for hours. And then if they want to spray on their face, we will allow them to spray their skin at that time. Absolutely #1 product to go with you every time you go in. You never know. So make sure you have it on hand for every clinic that you go to.
Beautiful. It's funny, isn't it? Because Liz comes in to ask me a question and I've just started swishing. And I'm like,
always.
Oh, hang on. So it is a perfect opportunity to give you about 60 seconds to a couple of minutes to talk to someone. Now, having been a sales coach, having back in the day, as Ryan said, before Neumi launched, got products in a retail sense out here in Australia, I can tell you how hard it is when you're cold calling versus when you have warm, straight in the door. And there's a thing called the gatekeeper. And if you don't know how to deal with a gatekeeper, you're screwed. So with that in mind, Rhonda, can you give us a perspective on how to deal with a gatekeeper?
Yeah. So no, first of all, what is a gatekeeper? So the gatekeeper is the person that protects the person you're trying to get to. In other words, the one that writes the check, the one that runs the car, the one that owns the financing. So this gatekeeper is paid to keep the gate. Okay. Typically, this is the very first person, if not the first person, at least the second person that you will encounter. The gatekeeper is a very important part of this process. You're typically not going to sample to the immediate person because the gatekeeper is there to make sure that what you have, they deem worthy of getting to the next place. So when we're looking at talking to your office manager on a cold market, on a warm market, we really want to make the connection to whomever answers the phone. Who would I need to speak with about possibly setting up a time where I could bring, and then you're going to be talking about what it is that you want to offer. And so if it's the office manager, they're going to say, well, our office manager is so and so, and typically it's an email. If you want to, we want to connect with a voice, we really want to speak to a person, but typically you go through a process and that becomes the gatekeeper. We are wonderful at relationships in this business. Okay. This is a relational business. This is where you really get to show your relational skills. If you can learn how to listen more than you talk to the gatekeeper, how to hear what she's saying, and how to build that trust, because you only have a few seconds to do that. So you're looking to build trust and asking pertinent questions. In other words, being prepared before you ever go in there. Once you build out that relationship, just communicating via email or via telephone, Then you have a personal relationship, and that is where typically the gatekeeper can either let you in the gate or shut the gate.
Love it. It's so true. And this industry does teach you people skills, which is important. Now, let's get a perspective from a medical professional, right? So, AJ, why don't you tell us from a gatekeeper's perspective, when you are one of the medical professionals, talk about your perspective.
Yeah, that's a great question, and it is a prime point in making the success of what we want to see. The gatekeeper, as Rhonda has mentioned, can be a number. It could be a couple different people. Sometimes it's the provider, sometimes it's the office manager, sometimes it's the person, the receptionist. And I think the gatekeeper, how you get past them, sometimes depend on that market. Is it a warm market or is it a cold market? In my perspective, in a warm market, it's a little bit easier to get beyond that gatekeeper because you have a rapport. You know who they are. They know who you are. But if it is a cold market, someone that you're approaching and you're not quite sure who they are, or you're learning about them, as Sherry has mentioned, one possible way to get past the gatekeeper is to go to that office and perhaps set up a lunch time for them, that you would go in and you would purchase a lunch and utilize that lunch hour time to create and distribute the samples and present your information. As professionals, our lunch times can be limited at times, but if there is an allotted lunch time, it creates a nice opportunity for you to invite yourself in, but you're also bringing the multiple goodness to them. Not only a product and the new knowledge and new information, but you're providing a time to bring them lunch. And so they're covered. They don't have to go away. They can sit around the table, they can eat lunch, and you can distribute the information that you've prepared.
I love that. You know, in the mortgage industry, I used to do the same thing. I'd rock up with a whole heap of donuts to the sales teams. And how you can't throw someone out when they've rocked up as a nice gesture like that. So it's I'll call it an ethical bribe, but it does work. So Rhonda, now let's segue to talk about the cases and promoting cases for each clinic. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Jeannie did a great job in highlighting how this how we present. So the reason we're looking for brick and mortar and for professionals is we're not looking for people that might see three clients in a week. We really are looking and scaling our company at distribution for large scale. So when we're adding to 12, 24, 40, and 80, when you become comfortable with addressing this is where it is. This is what we have, and this is what we have to offer. So when you're looking at a practitioner like such as AJ, and I'm showing this practitioner what we have, and they've never tried it, so they don't know. We've done the presentation, they understand what we're talking about, and now we go to the ordering process. There are 4 different options for them, okay? They're on the spot right there, and they're thinking about their clientele. I love to help them make their decision by giving them as much information that I can. Jeannie broke it down, how much per bottle, so we can show them the cost and effect. But this is how I do it. This is how we taught others to do it as well. So if I'm going after someone like AJ who has a clinic, and my question to him is, okay, do you like what you've heard? Does this interest you? Do you think this would be a great pair for you? How do you think your clients would enjoy this? Can we add this? Are you selling product? How many clients do you see in a day? That's my baseline question, because I know they're thinking, I have 12 bottles. They're thinking about people. They're thinking about who, because they always have a who in there. Who would be my worst case scenario that would give me the best case scenario? So if AJ were to say to me, well, I see about 10 people a day, the answer is always great. If it's 5, if it's 4, if it's 100, the answer never changes. That's great. Okay. So now I'm making a mathematical equation in my mind. How many days a week did you tell me you work? I'm in the office 5 days a week. Wow, amazing. So you're seeing 50 clients in a week, right? So that's 200 in a month. You're very busy. So when we're looking at these cases, let's keep this in mind. So if we know we're going to be dealing with 200, let's just say half of your people, half of the clients said, I think I'll try it. You're still out of product. We also utilize the fact that 74%, as Ryan said, and we can use this in our trial market, stayed with this product. The average industry is only 32%. So we know that they stay with this product. So we're helping them to break down how many bottles, because what we don't want to do is start out with, well, let's start you out with 12, that's safe. No, that is making suggestive sales, and you're not allowing them to actually look and see what would be the best for them. Okay, if they say they want 12, then we give them 12. But I start with the 80 and I work myself back from the 40. And if that is still too much, I work myself back to the 24. And again, just like Jeannie stated, I am breaking down the price point and the return on investment, because at the end of the day, they want the product sold. They want to make revenue on it, which is why we are doing this pilot program. And they want to be able for their clients to receive a product that we know that is outstanding. So there's three things we're trying to get. I would say to you, don't be afraid to start with the 80. Find out what their clientele is. Like who are they going to be servicing? If they're only going to be servicing 20 clients a month, that's a no-brainer. That's easy. But what about if they have 200 clients or patients? That makes it more difficult for, for you to have to come in and say, well, let me tell you, and let me give you some experiences of what I've seen. And of course, AJ can speak to that as well. So let's go in and let's get some numbers. Let's help them walk this through. Remember, you are the salesperson. They're purchasing from you. You've done this. You've done the education. You know about the product, what it does, how it sells, the amazing outcomes from it. They don't know that yet. So we want to get as much product as, but what we don't want to do is give them so little that in the first week, and AJ can testify, that they're out within 4 days. So let's look at the numbers and let's go ahead and approach this from a sales perspective, how we can best utilize what we have to help the doctors to help their clientele and their patients.
Beautiful. Now, I didn't have you flagged for this question, AJ, but I've heard you referred to 3 times. So anything you want to add to that one? Just make sure you unmute beforehand.
I'll just make a little follow up to that. I recently inquired or had some interest from a colleague friend of mine, and we went through the numbers, and she purchased 12 of each of the product, but in 2 days they were all gone. And so it was case in point of what Rhonda just mentioned. Make sure you get ample supply, because you will move them quickly.
Beautiful, beautiful. Nothing better than hearing it from someone who is sitting in the seat of the person you're going to be targeting, guys. Now, with that in mind, I think personally, from my perspective, I can see that if someone is hesitant to promote big packs, the word fear is involved, right? So we want to address that. How do you, what do you do when you're talking about working past fear, working with professionals, whether it's warm or cold? Let's kick off with Rhonda first on this one. And you need to unmute again.
Right, thank you. I think everyone is going to have an amazing answer to this. So, fear is real. They say it's false evidence appearing real, but when you're feeling it, it's real, right? And fear is for a good thing, but fear can really drive you away. And you can hear things that are going on inside your head that aren't, that is your own negative thoughts. It's your own perspective. And anytime anyone's quiet, then we start talking to ourselves. I believe, and I think everyone on this panel would agree with me, that when you start this program, you are stepping out into a different realm. Okay. It's not me talking network. It's not me talking the networking business. It's me talking to a professional. And sometimes it could be a more educated person or a less educated person, but this person knows their business. So I'm in their court, right? I'm taking my ball into their court, but I have the ball and I know what I'm bringing and I know it's going to be a slam dunk. So it may be that I have like some, apprehensive about some things. But what I've learned is this: you still move forward and you learn as you begin navigating through this. And I even think AJ can answer well to this as a practitioner moving out into this as well. So it doesn't matter who you are, what you do, you get more comfortable the more you do it. And I tell people that you don't wait until you feel everything just right to step forward. No, we're going to be talking about starting small, getting big, right? Till you get your feet wet and you make all the, we've already made all the errors, which is consequently why we're here. We've already done all the things that we shouldn't do, and now we're here to help you to help navigate this so you can bypass all the mistakes that we made. when you're starting small and you get comfortable and you make that one sale, because it's a sale. When you make that one sale, you have your feet wet. Okay. Now your feet are wet and now you have a story to tell. Once you have a story to tell, now you're ready to do it again. Being told no is normal. That's just normal for us in our industry. We're educating on something maybe someone's never heard of. So no is just not right now. We know that. But we don't let the kickstand down on the bike. We keep pedaling. And then we're looking again for the more information I think you have on who you're prospecting, the more secure you feel about that, that does help to settle the questions about what you're going to be talking about, what will be said, what will be asked, but it still goes down to the final straw. What will they order and how will you help them through the ordering process? And that fear must be overcome for them and you to be able to make the best possible decision. And you can work through that even with your upline, just practicing that, or someone else, a friend or whomever, just act like it's a sales tool and then you're going to go in and just let someone kind of hear you out. But I will tell you this. Don't wait to get started when everything is perfect. Go ahead and get started, and everything will become more perfect, and you'll be better and better at it. And fear, although it may linger on the side, it won't drive you away from doing this amazing pilot program that can build out your legacy with Neumi.
Beautiful. I heard this statement once: competence creates confidence. So action kills fear. So that's good. Let's hear from another field perspective on that one. So Jean, and then I'll go to AJ to give us a medical perspective on that one.
Oh, wonderful. That was nailed it, Rhonda. I agree that you have to work through fear because we all have those butterflies. We're going into something new. We have a fear of rejection or what people think. It's the number one fear that everyone has. So working through it with absolute posture and confidence and unwavering belief in what we have. I mean, we have the biggest breakthrough in human health and skincare history because we have solved the issue of absorption. So I feel like anyone who crosses my path, it's their lucky day that they even have been invited to take a look at this. So when you know Steve Scott's mission in life, who Steve Scott is, how this came about, like Ryan shared, that they were previously doing this on infomercials. Nobody had any fear. They just had the calls coming in and placing orders. Now they have taken it to people like you and me, business to business and peer to peer. This is saving people's lives. What would happen if you didn't ever share this with somebody? So that's how I overcome fear, is because I know what we have. I have a posture of absolute confidence. If someone rejects me or what I'm saying, then next.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Now, AJ, what about from your perspective? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. From a clinical space, I would definitely echo all of the things that have just been mentioned. But from my space, I have the utmost confidence in recommending these products to my patients. And so when you can have that degree of confidence in knowing what you have, it will help navigate you and traject you in a forward direction to overcome that fear. It's very real. The fear depends on, I think, if it's a cold market or it's a warm market. And also, in addition to that, from a clinical space, there are a number of individuals and representatives representing all disciplines of therapies that are presenting throughout the country. And so I have always said that there's no way I can know everything. But as an ambassador for Hydrostat, if you will, we have the incredible task and a blessing to introduce people to a new technology, because majority of the people we're trying to focus and tune to this beautiful technology are people that have the same mindset. They desire health, they desire wellness, they want the best for their patients, for their clients, for whatever industry component that or discipline they are in. So when you can bring to the table a new knowledge, a new technology, you're probably going to be in a position where you will get a listening ear. And so that's going to help you as you move beyond that fear. And so as you are moving in that direction, it's my encouragement to you to go full force. You have the information and you have a product that needs to be known. And we're the soldiers, if you will, that are taking that and we're moving it to the places of where it needs to go.
Love it. Absolutely love it. So now moving to the next stage, we'll do Jeannie for this one. How do you walk people, the PRP customer, through the process?
Okay, well, first I introduce the product and the technology, and that's really important. And I emphasize the benefits to their patients and clients, their health, recovery, their performance benefits, the immune system boost, those kind of things. And then, most importantly, if you're in business, you're in business to make money. So the additional continual revenue stream without a huge investment. There's a huge ROI here. I personally feel that people that do not carry this will be losing money. They're eventually going to hear it, and they should be very thankful that they're hearing about it first. And I love to use that this is not only a first to market, but you're the first person I'm calling on in this city or in this state or so forth. You're the first person that is going to have the opportunity to take a look at this, because when you think about different doctors or med spas, and that's generally my field, what I'm looking for is those type of practitioners. Think about what they want. They want to be first. They're all offering med spa services and lasers, and they're all offering products and dermatology products and skincare products and so forth. Well, what is different about your business, about your salon, about your medical center? What are you offering your patients that's going to have them keep coming back? And not to mention the results that they're going to get, because it complements their treatments and their products. Everything that they're already doing, this is complementary. There's no contraindication. So this is something that every single person on the planet needs. They just don't know about it yet. So you're the first people hearing about it. And I think that's it for that question.
Beautiful. Now, you said something in that question that leads to the final one of this module, and that is they obviously, hairdressers, masseurs, whatever, all these different people, med spas, they would have other products. So Rhonda, if we'll start with you, how do you talk about, integrating what we have with the existing products they have?
Perfect. The one thing we don't want to do, I've sold products my entire life. I've always had something. People are buying products. They want what you're using on them. The smells will get them, the fragrance, the feel, the touch, the talk, all of this. And there's lots of things on the shelf. So let's say I'm going after a dermatologist, I'm going after an esthetician, and there are products there. Their clients are wanting whatever they're using, and perhaps whatever procedure they're doing, they're adding a product with it, because that's what we call an upsell. Okay, there's always an upsell. If you don't believe me, go to fast food restaurants. Everything is an upsell. Would you want to supersize it? So upsell is really popular, and people understand it. Even internet, everything's upselling. But what I don't want to do is tell someone that has a handful of products, and they could be amazing products, that they won't need any of those products, or to down their products. I don't even want to compete with their products. All I want to do is stay in the space of hydrostat. Okay, I want to know my product. I want to know what my product does. I see the products. I don't have to compliment on the products. I don't have to have a comment about the products. I don't have to have an opinion about the products. What I want to do is make sure they know this. Our products pair with everything, and they can be an asset to whatever they're currently using. Even if they're doing IV glutathione, I'm not going to say, okay, well, that's not as good. This is what you're doing. No, I'm going to say this will pair great. Our technology will pair greatly in what you're already doing in the space of glutathione. If your clients love their IVs, they're going to love their aftercare that they take home. So stay true to what you're doing and what you're marketing. Know your product. Don't compete with another product, because really there is no other competition. We're not a Me Too company. Just know who you are and know what you do and stay clean and pure to that technology.
Beautiful. Now, AJ, maybe give us a clinic perspective on that question.
Absolutely, that was beautifully said, Rhonda. And in a clinical space, I utilize that same verbiage that you described, and really present, because in my clinic I have a number of products that I promote, and for me and my family and my patients, I want the absolute best. And so, as you present the idea about the technology that we have, you're going to use some of those verbiage cues that people may not have heard before. One of my favorites, perhaps, is that our products provide the ultimate in glutathione delivery. And so when you utilize that terminology, it really kind of offsets something, because people are looking for the best, they want the best, and good news is that we have the best. And I would agree with Rhonda. And from a clinical space, I can, without hesitation, recommend these products to complement anything that somebody is doing. But at the same time, if they don't have a lot of products that they are using, they can utilize these products by themselves. So great products for sure.
Perfect. Jean, any final thoughts on this question? Remember,
I'm glad you asked. I forgot to say what I say all the time. It's foundational. This is a foundational product, and it really is pairs. I love that, and complements everything, and it enhances the results. Being a former esthetician, I mean, there's so many different products out there and they love their products. So you don't want to get into that competition space. You just want to say this will enhance it because of the technology.
love it. You guys have absolutely nailed module 1. For everyone watching right now, put your pens and papers down, review this over and over and over again. You've got everything you need to the starting line. But module 2, now we're going to cover off the how-to, when you're actually face-to-face with someone. What do you do? How do you enroll people? All that sort of stuff. So we've chunked this down on purpose so that you can stop here if you work a full-time job, and tomorrow you can actually watch module 2, then module 3, and then we'll get it all from there. So we'll see you in the next module. All the best.